Yo, welcome back to Fighting with Friends. It's your boy, brother Kaya, and we are back again with a nice episode of One Championships News. It's our Tuesday news segment, but we will be doing it live for the first time today. So drop a like, drop a share, comment, get involved in the banter. I'm not doing it alone. I am doing it with our boy, the one and only, Brother 80. Let's go.
Welcome back to Fighting with Friends, everybody. I'm officially on holiday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Fighting with Friends. Good to be here, brother guy. Good to
I
be
love
here,
it.
bro.
I love it. We are taking this week off a little bit. We're taking a little bit slow, It's a bit of a slow week in terms of the fight content, but I think it's also a weekend that we deserve, if I may say so myself, to take a little bit of a break. But good to have you, Eddie. Good to see you again, bruh. Much love, much love, much love.
Very, very happy to be here, bro. And also just to let the people know, we got something big planned for this Friday Fights live stream. So be sure to check that out. It's going to be lit. So be
Absolutely.
sure to tune in.
That's also a very good fight card, by the way. That Friday Fights for 131 is actually a pretty stacked, good fights in that fight card. But we'll talk about that one later in the week. Today is our new segment, so we will be trying to unpack some of the new stuff that's coming out of One Championship with regards to news. Not so much about like breaking down fights in particular. In also speaking of particular, not to be in any particular order. We're just gonna go through the articles as they are in the ticker tape on screen, starting with Puric and Johan Ghazali. So if you don't know, chat or live, get involved in the banter. Puric and Jojo Ghazali have been going back and forth. Let's say for the course of the year. I don't know exactly how long it's been going on between the two of them, but throughout the course of this year, in particular 2025, there's been some back and forth between the two of them. I'm not too sure if they are campaigning to fight each other. It looks like it's going that way a little bit. I don't know if you guys agree. I'm going to bring it up on screen. This was obviously posted on our boy Tetsuka's account. So just bear with me for a second. And this is what he had to say. I find it quite funny. I'm not going to lie. I do find it quite funny. But this is what Puric had to say to Johan Ghazali. And if we don't know, go check out Ghazali's Instagram page. He's been posting quite regularly about being the Conor McGregor of One Championship, if you will. And this is what the latest thing that Puric had to say about it. So I'll read. calls him Joe Blow. Firstly, like, are you mad? So he calls him Joe Blow. Get the hell out of here. I'm here to fight the best in the league. Look at the names I've been fighting. I'm fighting Takeru next. The only reason why you are in the one is because of your following. You're an IG model. Stick to that and stay in your effing lane. Eddie, I'm going to take it over to you here about this. What do you make about that comment towards Johan Ghazali? Because you obviously know what Ghazali's been saying over the course of the year so far. What's your thoughts on this one, bro?
Yeah, I mean, look, whenever we talk Johan Ghazali, we're going to talk about a lot of hate that's going to come from the One Championship fan base. But look, honestly, bro, and I was in the same boat at first. But honestly, bro, I'm here for the antics. I think it's a big part of what One Championship is missing are these big personalities.
Yeah.
I think these kind of
Sorry, go on.
Hello, everybody. These kinds of things attract more casual fans to the sport, which I think is a big part of what One Championship needs. It adds an extra dimension to the fight. So if you're not like a fighting or martial arts or an MMA purist, it also adds another dimension of interest for like, again, more casual fans. So I'm all here for it, bro. I think, like I said, I hated Johan Ghazali. He's a very easy guy to hate. But I can see that there's a method to the madness here, Brian. I think that he's the heel. He could be the heel that actually One Championship have been missing all this time. So I'm all for it, Brian. Dennis Puric, these guys are like opposite ends of the age scale. So I don't know how that's going to be a grown man versus a boy. But bro, I'm here for it, bro. I'm here for it. I'm just very happy that there's like some antiques going on, and it just really like brings the sport to life for me. But I mean, look, we don't have to say that One Championship, watching the fights alone, it's very entertaining and like very explosive. But I think with this added dimension, it's really going to kind of elevate the sport to the new level. So I just hope he keeps doing it, Brian. I hope he keeps like bringing the engagement from One Championship fans, because let's face it, bro, he gets gums flapping, bro. People are talking about him. Whether they hate him or love him, people are talking about him. And that's what we need more of when it comes to One Championship, bro.
Let's go. I'm glad to agree. If you guys got any comments on that about this topic, please let us know in the chat what you think about it. I think the key word that AD used there was heel. And if you think about One Championship's roster, right, realistically, are there any fighters in the organization that can be a perfect heel for the company? Right now, I can't think off the top of my head of which fighter could actually be that.
Maybe Anpo, if he can get a run going, maybe Anpo, because he seems like he has like a personality.
Yeah.
I think maybe even Yuki Shoza, if he wanted to play that role, he seems like he could also pull it off. But yeah, again, most of the fighters are super respectful, which is understandable, bro. These guys are martial artists. They respect the game. And yeah, it's deeply embedded into the culture of Muay Thai, especially this level of respect. But at the same time, bro, this kind of stuff does make for great entertainment. So yeah, I think Yuki Shoza, Ruki Anpo, and Johan Ghazali, bro, those are the first names that come to mind for me to be the next year of One Championship.
Especially someone that can sell it, because I mean the words that Ghazali is using is, "I'm the One Championship Conor McGregor," and hate or love him, Conor McGregor did take the sport into a new level. It's a polarizing character, and he brought eyes to the game that generally wasn't there, right? It wasn't there to begin with. So for Ghazali to make that kind of statement, in my opinion, is big, because that means you have to be prepared. Excuse me, I'm just fixing my lighting. You have to be prepared to take the backlash, because that's what you're going to get if you're going to be a heel in the company, right? That means you're going to. Conor McGregor was doing sort of questionable things while he was still contacted by UFC. He was doing very much questionable things, right? And that brought eyes. It brought him fights. It brought him championship fights as well. And I think Ghazali, again, hate him or love him, I think he's doing the right thing. It's weird saying that because he's doing something completely fucking wrong. Excuse my language, but it's the right thing. You know what I mean? It's the right thing, depending on how you look at it, whether it's wrong or right. But I think it's, in terms of marketing the business, it's the correct thing to do. And where it's an organization that is pretty much begging for characters. You know what I mean? I think Anpo, it's a good shout that he brought him up there, because it does seem like he has that personality to be that kind of person of like, you know, I'm going to say things that's a bit questionable, but I'm going to do them anyway. And you're going to tell me, you need to prove me wrong. You know what I mean? And I like that about him. So, Look, he's got a big fight coming up, obviously against what's his name? My guy. I'm thinking about Alazov at the moment.
Gregorian, isn't it?
Gregorian, yes. That's obviously at 173. Eddie, speaking about 173, Rodtang's obviously got a fight against Nong O for the vacant flyweight Muay Thai title coming up just over 3 weeks from now, 3.5 weeks from today's date of the recording. And there was largely people were talking about his weight cut and how much weight that he has to obviously cut for being at 65 kgs, I think, 62 kgs, something like that.
62. So he's cutting from 72. They said he has to cut 11. So that is 61. Yeah.
Let's bring it up on screen at the moment. So this is what was posted on X from Condition Nutrition. If you don't know, that's Peter Miller. This guy, he's got
Postmaster.
Yeah, he's got his fighters on lock. I want to zoom into the image which was posted by him. I don't know if you guys can see this on screen. But pretty much it's a breakdown in how the weeks for Rodtang and how much weight he's going to be cutting from 72 kgs all the way down to 61, 62. Now, on screen, the graph shows 7 weeks, right? So I don't know what his weight cut is. I don't know what weight he's at right now, right? Because like I said, it's 173 is about 3.5 weeks away from today's recording. So I don't think he's currently on 72 kgs. But the concept or the idea of cutting 11 kilograms in 7 weeks is massive. It's doable. But it's massive considering that these fighters don't cut. Remember, we had Cody Jerome on the channel, and they don't actually cut a ton of weight. And JDB also said the same thing. They don't cut it all in one go, and then you make the weight, and you got 4 weeks before fight day, and you're chilling at that weight the whole time. They usually cut it, sporadically, so that it's not like a drastic weight cut to shock the system. They do it over the course of over the weeks before the time. The question I'm trying to ask you here is that, do you think that Rodtang is going to be successful again? The last time he had a weight cut that was successful, he had Peter Miller in his corner to make the weight for Takeru. It's the same weight class. This time it's in Muay Thai. Peter Miller is still in his corner. You think he's going to be able to make the weight again this time? Because notoriously, he hasn't really made weight. What's your thoughts on this one, AD?
Yeah, honestly, bro, I think Peter Miller's a consummate professional, bro, and he was on Nick Atkins' podcast this morning, which we'll get to in a few seconds, ladies and gentlemen. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, I think the man knows what he's doing. His record speaks for itself when it comes to managing his fighters and beating the weight cut and the hydration test. So yeah, I'm very confident in Rodtang making weight here, bro. They did also mention, I think you might have seen on X also, that Superlek is actually walking around at 78, bro.
Yeah.
So that's another story. But yeah, I'm very confident that Rodtang will make weight. From what Peter Miller was saying this morning, it sounds like it's pretty much a formality and they've got everything under control. And like we've seen, bro, as soon as Peter Miller comes into these athletes' corners, not only do they make weight and hydration, but their performance is so much better just because of how easy the weight cut and the hydration was. So yeah, I'm not concerned about that. I do think that both Rodtang and Peter Miller, especially having worked together before, they know what they're doing, right? They'll get the job done for sure there.
I like that you mentioned that the performances are even better when Peter Miller's in the corner, and it's the proof is in the pudding. Just look at JDB's performances, the last one. Just look at Rodtang's last couple of performances. There's a whole list of other fighters. Nabila Nan's another one. Just look at his last couple of performances as well. It's just the list goes on and on. Jackie Buntan, I know she lost against Stella Himmeltsberger, but she performed really well in that fight regardless, So I think Peter Miller is the key to success for a lot of these athletes in one championship today. You mentioned, quickly before I move on to the next one, you mentioned, and we covered this a little bit last week as well, but you mentioned Superlek having to cut also quite a drastic amount of weight, considering that he's walking around at 78 kilograms. Okay, I know he's competing at bantamweight. It's a weight above. It's 10 pounds heavier than what Rodtang had to cut as well, which is plus minus 5.5, almost 6 kilograms more. He doesn't have Peter Miller in his corner. That's the one thing. The question is, will Superlek make the weight and compete against Yuki Yoza within 3.5 weeks from now?
Yeah, that's a difficult one, bro, because We just don't know what we don't know what his plan is. But if we look at the range of weight that he needs to cut, like you said, he's fighting in a weight class above at bantamweight.
Yeah.
He's 78, so that's 6 above Rodtang. So they're cutting the same range. It's about 11
Yes.
kgs over the
Yes.
course of 6 weeks. So, I mean, all things remaining equal, I think he should be okay. But just to play it safe, bro, I would definitely get Peter Miller in my corner, bro.
Yeah.
Because, again, we've seen so many fucking champions lose their belts on the scale this year alone. So it's not something you want to put to chance, you know what I mean? Because if it's champions that are losing belts, not just fighters losing, not just fighters missing weight and missing hydration. These are champions, bro. Top of the food chain, missing weight, missing hydration because of not being amply prepared. And it's just unacceptable, bro. There's no better word for it. So you got to invest in your nutrition, bro. And Peter Miller, again, I started to be glazing the guy here, but he does seem to be the guy who knows the weight and how to do this whole thing. So yeah, that's again. But to answer your question, bro, I'm not qualified to comment on Super League, bro, because I just don't know what's going on behind the scenes there.
And he has been having terrible weight cuts over the last year and a half, 2 years, if you will. I know he's been injured as well, but he has been having difficulty with his weight cuts. I think the last time he was successful in the proper weight cut was when he fought Takeru, and that was early 2024. Or was it late 2024? But he's been having a bit of a tough time. I mean, before that, he had a difficult weight cut against Rodtang. So, yeah, hopefully he gets it back.
Nabil, right?
He must wait against Nabil as well. Yeah, look, we mentioned him, Peter Miller, and like, I think it's fair to glaze over him a little bit because he's been the key factor as to why champions aren't losing their belts on the scale anymore. You know what I mean? Or why we haven't had it recently is because he's been the key factor in all of that. Speaking of Peter Miller, we're gonna move to him now because he had some stuff to say on Nick Atkins' podcast. I will be dropping the links to all the new segments in our description box at the end of our live show. And if you guys got any opinions about things that we're talking about today, please feel free to drop a comment or a question in the comment box. But okay, I'll bring it up on screen now. And we've had some conversations with Peter Miller. I'm gonna let it play. As you can see on screen, the question was asked: what are his thoughts on hydration tests and how to pass it? And this is what had to be said. Let's play. If you can hear this audio, 80.
Ongla and John DiBello I help with, I think. Always tell them, give Pete a call. Better call Pete. Yeah, you're the man.
I think the hydration set, it's a requirement of the organization. That's the way I look at it. Like any organization, they have requirements, and this is a requirement of it. So you've got to do, you've got to do. There's no, you've got to do the methods to pass it. And do I necessarily agree with the hydration test and think it's something that's needed? No, but it's just a requirement of the organization. In terms of how to pass it, that's the secret sauce. You'll have to jump on board, and I'll tell you how to do
it. So he barely gave anything away there.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is his business, bro. So he's not going to reveal all the industry secrets.
Yes.
But just to give people a bit of context here, I was asking this question to get his thoughts on how he feels about the test. Like, is it necessary or not? And as you can see, he was just very much like, yeah, it's a requirement. But he does kind of almost reluctantly admit that it's not really that needed. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
And then I see you moving it on. I did kind of try to be a bit more clear with my line of questioning. So I asked him, like, is it good or bad? But of course, we did have the interview with Cody Jerome, and Cody Jerome did give us this insight into being able to beat the test by just having your bladder filled with distilled water, holding it in for a while, and then going to pee. And so I kind of put this question forward to him, and you can just maybe play the response there.
Here we go.
I'd be concerned about that.
Maybe if he had that KFC bucket, he'd be 77.
Yeah, that KFC bucket, yeah.
I think your timestamps are with all fear, bro.
Extra sodium.
I'm going according to the timestamp. It's on the message 45:15 to 48. Wow.
So I'll go to, let me just find it there quickly. So from 45:15, is that it?
That's where I started it now, yeah. So it must go back then.
Okay, so 43, 34, sorry, 43, 34. So this is about, can you just hold water and pass the test?
Let's play.
One thoughts on hydration test. So I don't want to ask Pete his secrets fighting with friends. Yeah, as he said, you'll have to subscribe to his
And
service.
to answer that question that popped up, it's far more nuanced than that than just drink a load of water. That's a small fraction of like potentially how you pass the test. There's so many different factors that you need to consider, not just drink a load of water and holding your bladder.
Yes. So
diet, how you train, how much you've drank the days previous, your typical USG market at rest. There's like so many factors. So without going down a big rabbit hole on sciencey, there's a lot more to it than that. That is far too long for this discussion.
yeah, we're calling the
This man don't want to give anything away, bro.
So yeah, that's the thing. Like, obviously, he doesn't want to give away exactly how to beat the hydration test, because that's what is basically I think, but from most fighters being employed for. I mean, granted, he's expert nutrition and probably very good at helping fighters make weight as well. But I think, especially at this time, this is what you get Peter Miller for, is beating this hydration test, because he has a very good record with it and just having fighters make weight.
Yeah.
But of course, Cody Jerome said it's quite simple to JOPO the test. All you have to do is drink a load of distilled water, hold it in your bladder, and then go test hydration, and you'll be fine. Peter Miller is saying that it's not that simple. There's a lot of other nuances to it.
Yes.
I'm not saying either of them are lying. I just find it interesting that there's this discrepancy between what Peter Miller is saying and what Cody Jerome is saying. So yeah, I'll put it to you guys in the chat or in the comments if you're not watching this live. What do you make of this? Because again, it's two conflicting ideas as to how is it that simple of holding water, or is it not? You know what I mean? Two conflicting opinions from two people who have both gone through it. You know what I mean? So I think it's a very interesting point, and I'm very interested to get a discussion going and hearing the opinions of the viewers.
Of course. I think two things we need to add to that, AD, is for Cody Jerome, that was his first time experiencing that. And that was the only time he went through it. Peter Miller has been doing this now for a while with his fighters, and he's found a secret to it. And to be quite frank, he kind of posts this out. If you go look at the One Championship website, Instagram page, they tag Peter Miller in the posts that he make, and I save that posts because I'm actually using those tips for my weight cutting. And I've been following these diets and these plans for the last couple of weeks, and it's been helping me, not only shape up but actually have a healthy body. You know what I mean? And basically, what he does is he just unpacks how to manage your calorie and carb intake, your deficits, your water intake, and how much you're allowed to actually gain and lose per day. I think that's how I was partially how he's able to manage, or fighters are able to manage their weight cuts through these weeks up until the day of fighting. Because let's be frank about this: how many people generally are actually monitoring their calorie, carb, protein intake daily? Period. On average, any person, how we're doing this. You know what I mean? We don't actually do this, right? And it's something I've been practicing now for the last, say, 5 or 6 weeks. And dude, the proof is in the pudding. You saw me the other day and you didn't even recognize when you were running behind me. So I think for people out there, I think we have to add that into the context. I think Cody Jerome, again, not to say anything negative about the guy, I just think that was his first time experiencing something like that. So you wouldn't really have the game plan to actually go against or how to deal with the hydration test. Whereas Peter Miller has been doing this for a while. I mean, his brand is called Condition and Nutrition. You know what I mean? Your whole business model is to actually learn this, study this, and break it down so that fighters don't actually go and get hurt. They don't get sick when they go through weight cuts. Because what he said there, reluctantly, you have to do it. You have to do it at the end of the day. You have to do it. Even if there was no hydration test, you're still going to have to go through a weight cut. So you're still going to have to manage your body. You're still going to have to manage your electrolytes, your balance, your intake of water, you still have to go through all of this no matter what. You know what I mean? So what he's trying to say there is that they're probably not going to get rid of it, and that means you're going to have to learn how to deal with it.
Yeah.
A little bit of like how he's marketing himself there, like, come sign up with us, we'll
Yeah.
help you get that, you know.
And that's kind of why I'm putting this to the audiences, because I almost feel like you would never say it's that easy to beat it. You know what I mean? Because it's like you'll lose so much business. I'm not saying he's lying again. I just want to be clear about that. But I'm just saying that it's just I just find it interesting that there's a discrepancy between what two people who have gone through, who have been behind the scenes, insiders at one championship have said. That's what I'm saying. I'm not accusing anyone of anything. And yeah, again, I respect Peter Miller, what he's done so much. His record speaks for itself. So yeah, I just thought it was an interesting point that I wanted to kind of highlight and put forward to the viewers.
Yeah, I see we got some people currently viewing. It's more than one person. If you just joined, thank you for joining. For like, share, comment on the video. What we're discussing today is a little bit that's been coming out, the latest news from Peter Miller. He was on Nick Atkins' podcast literally early, like like 5, maybe 4 hours ago from now. And if you don't know who Peter Miller is, he's obviously the nutritionist that's been helping a lot of the One Championship champions successfully beat the weight cuts and the hydration tests, or just get it done correctly without damaging their body. And I'm sure as fans of the brand, we've been trying to figure out what's up with this hydration tests. How do we get around it? What do the fighters have to do? Because we've been losing belts. But give us your thoughts. Give us your thoughts on what you think about this hydration test. What to make about it. And again, if you want to get more insight on it, go check out that podcast with Nick Atkins, because he does kind of break it down. But I think what we kind of come into now as a little bit of an agreement is that it's probably going to stay around for quite some time in One Championship. That means fighters are going to have to learn how to deal with it. But give us your thoughts in the comments. What do you guys think? Should one still keep it? Should they not keep it? What's the integrity of keeping it there? So obviously they built the test around to mitigate any sort of cheating, whatever that looks like, whatever cheating looks like. That's what they built it around. We have been flying through the articles a little bit today. I'm not gonna lie. So we're just gonna keep it moving. And if you guys are in there and you want to have something to say, just drop it in the comments. But 80, we've got some fight news. Funny enough, the announcement for 173 was that there was going to be 17 fights on the fight card. But math is done correctly. We now have 18 fights on the fight card, with the 2 additions that were added to the 16 that was already there. Nuts. Absolutely
unnecessary,
nuts.
bro. Unnecessary, bro. Like, granted, it's one of the best fight cards of our lifetime, bro. Honestly,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? If you, Yuki Yoza and Superlek on the undercard is crazy, bro. Takeru versus Dennis Puric on the undercard is insane.
Yeah.
Is insane. So, bro, hands down, one of the best cards we'll ever see. But I feel like you need to stop now, bro. You know what I mean?
Too.
I don't feel like there's anything really. I mean, what else could you do to make the card better now? We already have all of these fights. We're gonna be streaming for like 16 hours, bro.
You know, and it's like the UFC's on the same day as well, which is also a mega fucking card. Yeah, it's madness. It's absolute madness. And to be quite honest with you, AD, I'm gonna bring it up on screen now. Personally, I think one of the 2 fights that was added doesn't have to be there. I feel like it's a dumb fight to add. But anyway, this is one of the that I don't think is a dumb fight to add. We got Shoza Isojima taking on Ruotolo lightweight MMA, which was added. I think this is actually a very good fight considering like the growth of Ruotolo. I think it's early stages. I mean, this is only his second fight in MMA. And he's taking on someone that actually has a mad resume in MMA. Obviously, he fought on Ryzen as well. If I'm not mistaken, he was a champion there. He debuted in One Championship only a couple of weeks ago. 4th of October, he fought against Nicholas Vigna and smoked him in the second round, badly TKO'd him. Give us your thoughts on this one, AD. What do you think of this matchup in addition to the already stacked fight card?
Yeah, bro, I think this is an excellent challenge for Ty.
Yes.
Shout out to One Championship for not giving him another absolute layup. You said, like you said, the man is a previous champion. So that's never anything to play with, regardless of the organization. And not to say that Dyson is anything to play with, bro. So it's gonna be a tough challenge for Ty. I imagine he's obviously gonna try and take him down and choke him out. And if he does get him to the ground, most of the time he does get the submission. So he's super dangerous, bro. But it's gonna be an excellent test to see where he is in terms of MMA. So yeah, I think this is the right move for him, and very much looking forward to it. I would say, however, that I wouldn't have put it on this card, just because I feel like there's enough on this card already. Or maybe I would have taken a fight off the card to put on this one on.
Yes.
But yeah, I do think it's a right move from the matchmakers here. So yeah, shout out to One Championship. I got no complaints about this.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with that. I think what they could have done was replace the jiu-jitsu fight. Take that off completely.
Please, bro.
You know what I mean? And then add this one in there. But yeah, I think it's a very good test for Ruotolo. I think he's probably going to get quite a bit of adversity in this fight because Isojima, he's high level, dude. He's not like, I won't rate him in the lightweight division. And mind you, right, the lightweight division in One Championship is actually the welterweight division in the UFC, right? I'm using that as a rhetoric because, I mean, when it comes to MMA, UFC holds the pedigree, right? They're like on top of everybody. And when we look at that 170-pound division in the UFC, we think, oh my word, like, who the fuck can compete with this? You know what I'm saying? And Isojima, in my opinion, is probably top 15 at best when it comes to that welterweight division today. If he's lucky. So this is 170-pound division, and he's well-rounded. He's got a long list of fighters that he's fought against. Like I said, former champion, good ground and pound, and he has actually very good wrestling. MMA wrestling, by the way, which is completely different to, like, you know what I mean, in any other discipline. You can be a master at jiu-jitsu, right? A good example would be, what's his name? Royce Gracie, 170-pounder in the UFC, master at jiu-jitsu, but never really reached the heights of what he should have when it comes to MMA because it's a different ballgame, completely different ballgame.
Kron Gracie, wasn't it?
No, not Kron Gracie. I'm talking about Royce Gracie when UFC started. Yeah, the godfather of jiu-jitsu, the guy who started it all. When UFC started, right, the very first couple of cards in the UFC, he was the man that was running through everybody. And then when they actually put him up against like a high-level MMA grappler in Matt Hughes, he struggled. He struggled really badly. My point I want to make is that Ruotolo is a master in jiu-jitsu, but I don't think it translates over into MMA the same way. You know what I mean? Because you'll get tested in a different way that he's haven't been tested before. And I think when you put Isojima and Adrian Lee, right, it's just not the same level. I think Isojima is much better than Adrian Lee currently. Adrian Lee's only 19 years old. He's got years still to grow. Right? If we think about who's in his corner as well, he will obviously get a lot better. A long-winded explanation just to say that I think Ruotolo won't find this fight as easy as he did when he fought against Adrian Lee. I think this is going to be a massive step up in competition. So yeah, but we'll keep it moving, 80, to the next fight that was also introduced in the early hours of today. Also on the 173 fight card, and this is the fight that I was referring to when I felt that it shouldn't have been announced. And remember, if anyone has been following our channel, when I was talking about the 173 card, saying there was going to be more fights announced, this was the one fighter that I was like, please don't do it again. We don't need to see this on the fight. But I know he's old, bruh. I know he's a legend, but why the fuck is he there? Like, let the man rest. There's so many other Japanese stars that's on this card that's got so much star power. You don't need another legend there. You just don't need another legend. But they did it anyway. And here we go. We got Shinya, Aoki, and Hiroyuki Tetsuka. MMA, lightweight MMA. Personally, I'm like, this is a dumb fight. The fight cards are already stacked, like you mentioned. It didn't need anything more to it, really. If anything, maybe take out that jiu-jitsu fight. But then they added these two fighters on the fight card who are absolutely nowhere. They're nowhere in the rankings. Then they can't go for a title run in this division. They're not going to get anywhere. They put on this fight card purely because it's in Japan, right? They need a fan service. But why the fuck do you need these two old has-beens on a fight card when you've got just a star-studded event already? So you know where my opinion is. You know what I feel about this fight. What's your thoughts, AD?
Yeah, same, bro. I don't really have too much to add to what you said. I just feel that, yeah, it's almost ruining it a little bit. You know what I mean? By
Yes.
putting these fights on such a great fight card. Like, why don't you just have banger after banger after banger? But I imagine that this will probably, hopefully, just be a way to send Shinya Aoki off into the sunset with a victory in front of
But you've done that.
the Japan faithful. Nah, it's just like, you know what? Do it again. Take two. I don't know, bro. I don't know, bro. I just don't know. I just hope they'll leave this man in peace after this, bro. Just let him retire.
Please, they don't need him anymore, because when I'm referring to star-studdedness and like star power of the 173 fight card, you really don't need Shinya Aoki on there. You really don't. I mean, you got Masaki no Iri in the main event, guys. You know what I mean? There's Naraka Yoshinari. There's Yua Wakamatsu. There's Takeru. There's Yuki Yoza. Like, there's Itsuki Hirata. There's Kana Marimoto. These are all like champions. Rukia Anpo is also on there. There's Ryugo Takauchi, who's like climbing up the heavyweight rankings at the blistering pace. There's Hiroki Akimoto, who's the former bantamweight kickboxing champion. And these are all current fighters that are very active and still fairly young in their careers. They can still go on for years. Why on earth do you need to add Shinya Aoki to this fight? It's not necessary. It's already stacked with star power. It's like over 50 stars already. You don't need anything else in here. If anything, this fight here, Giancarlo Bodoni and Rafael Lovato, I know that they are big in the jiu-jitsu scene, but who gives a fuck? Who gives an absolute shit about this fight? When you look at the list of fights on here, right? Nobody's looking forward to that bout. Absolutely nobody's looking forward to bout number 5.
It's true. And not to like rag on jiu-jitsu or anything, but you know, like, of course, like, jiu-jitsu guys love watching jiu-jitsu, but for me personally, as someone who doesn't do jiu-jitsu, it's not the most entertaining thing to watch as a neutral. You know what I mean? Like, granted, you get the guys like Musamechi and the Ruotolo brothers who do like magical shit, bro. And I'm sure there's a couple of other names because I don't watch the sport as much, but you gotta say, bro, I think even as a jiu-jitsu guy, you have to admit that for someone who doesn't do it, you have to admit, bro, it's boring as shit, bro.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I like it. I like grappling. I'm a big fan of like how grappling works, because it's a very, you need to have big cojones for it, because it's a type of discipline that can really tire you out within the first like 30 seconds. You'll be like, what the hell is this? I'm already exhausted, right? And that's why you really need to like understand it and know how to deal with it. But if you have Tai Ruotolo and Keretolo moving away from the sport, and they were arguably one of the biggest guys to watch, along with like the Tackett brothers and so on, surely that must tell you something. You know what I mean? Surely that must tell you something. It means that maybe the sport's getting dry. And I've heard the Ruotolo twins talk about it in the sense that one of the reasons why they moved on is because everyone is just holding the wrists positions like this.
Yeah.
Or like 5 of the 10 minutes of the round.
It's boring, bro.
You know what I mean? It's a kind of sport where, you know, people don't really get caught in subs as much as you think they will. It's not like in the stand-up discipline where the chances of getting KO'd or getting punched in the face are extremely high. You know what I mean? In jiu-jitsu, which is all you're supposed to do is tap somebody out, it's also equally as difficult to get it right, actually. You know what I mean? That usually results in fights where it's like people that are casuals will go, I don't know if I actually want to watch this, you know. And then you also put that particular fight on a card that is filled up with a bunch of kickboxers and Muay Thai specialists. So you go, oh, but now why? That didn't have to be there. You know what I mean? On a card like this, it kind of ruins the feng shui, if you will.
Yeah. Look, I mean, hopefully the guys put on a show and they can win over a few of the neutrals or the less committed jiu-jitsu fans. That's the only thing I can imagine that they're going for here. Because like you said, bro, I only imagine the people who like jiu-jitsu are going to be interested in watching that fight. I don't think anybody else is really going to be fired up for like fucking, you know, it's 173. I can't wait for the submission grappling fight, you guys. Like, no, bro, nobody's going to be like, you know what I mean? So,
you know what? Sorry, continue.
Oh no, you go, bro.
No, I was gonna say, you know what's mad now is that like I chat to jiu-jitsu practitioners regularly that compete here in South Africa. They just competed last week in 2 tournaments, and both guys came home with medals, placed in the podium. And another fight, another athlete that I know that she even went to Brazil to compete there and came back. And when I speak to them, they tell me they don't even watch the sport; they just compete. It's kind of like when I compare it to someone like yourself and Jedi back in the day, where you guys used to compete in football, but don't watch football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same bracket as that. It's like I don't know. They kind of find it boring a little bit, but they love to compete in it anyway. So yeah, so that for me is a big telling point already. If someone that's competing in the sport doesn't watch it themselves, it's not going to spark much confidence in a casual fan to watch it either. If you're not
Can you
even watching,
imagine, bro? Can
you
you
know what I
imagine?
mean?
Yeah, watch a jiu-jitsu tournament, bro. Like
I tried.
I would fall asleep, bro. Honestly, I would fall asleep. It would be impossible for me.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed
Impossible.
the Craig Jones Invitational, the first one. I was like, oh, this is actually like gourmet jiu-jitsu because guys are just going
Yeah.
and ladies are just going in hard. But it was a jiu-jitsu tournament for the fans. That's why Craig Jones was very specific on who he invited to come compete. Like people
Yeah.
that really are quite explosive in how they do jiu-jitsu, not just a general, you know, I won't say basic, but like play it safe kind of game. Just guard and chill there the whole time. But anyway, I'm not shitting on jiu-jitsu. I think it's a
look. Yeah, it might not even be the sport itself, bro. Because we have spoken before about them possibly changing the format instead of just making it this one long 10-minute round. Maybe find a different way to format it, bro, to create more urgency for people to go for finishes or something like that.
Yeah.
You have to incentivize it somehow because bro, I think the last 3 submission grappling fights I've watched have all got to stalemate. So
Yes,
it's all been
hasn't gone
decision
anywhere.
victories. Yeah. So I feel like it's 10 minutes of my life that I want back after I've sat through it. You know what I mean? So yeah, they need to find a way to revive the sport if they are going to keep it in what is already seemingly a flailing organization here, bro. You know what I mean? You don't want to you want to cut any fat that you can off because you're already holding too much. You know what I mean? So why do you still have this? Why are you still paying these fighters?
Yeah. No, you're right,
what I
Eddie.
mean?
You're right. I'm in agreement. I think if one championship sitting down and look at the analytics of which discipline are people most intrigued or tuning into when it comes to our brand, I'm pretty sure Muay Thai is at the top of that list. And you got your kickboxing, right? And then you've got your MMA, and I'm sure Jiu-Jitsu is right below that.
Yeah.
So then, based on what you're saying, I would say, let's cut the numbers. Let's cut out what we don't need. The one that isn't really giving us a lot of revenue. Let's actually cut that out. Because I'm sure they're paying the jiu-jitsu guys also quite some money to be on their cards because like they're only signing champions, not signing a bunch of noobs or no names. They're signing people that are very recognized, ADCC champions, IFBJ, JJ, all those kind of dudes, all the J's and all the acronyms, champions. So that means they're obviously costing a lot of money. They're obviously costing the organization quite some money to keep them there. But that's it's the discipline that isn't really bringing in a lot of eyes. So then, in my opinion, I would say keep it at the minimum, or just let it go. Just get rid of it. And I know Nick Atkins was saying when you asked him on one of his other podcasts about jiu-jitsu and MMA fight cards alone, and then the kickboxing Muay Thai fight cards separately. And he was like, no, that's partially what made one championship what they are, was having multiple disciplines. I get that, but it's been 15 years into the organization's growth, and you would argue that they're actually regressing. They're actually going backwards. You know what I mean? Because of this, because of the other disciplines, and it's costing them money, and people are not actually watching them enough. We're watching a lot more Muay Thai and kickboxing. So yeah, I think they should definitely consider maybe letting those fighters go because people aren't really amped to watch it. But okay, Eddie, any final thoughts? It hasn't really been that long of a live, but that's okay. Do you have any final thoughts for the audience before I start letting people know what they can expect?
Just on what we discussed, I think just again, people shouldn't be in such a rush to hate on Johan Ghazali. I think he's really figured out, he's really cracked the code here, bro, because I think that fight is also underestimate how much it can do for your career having such a big personality. We look at somebody like Colby Covington, who almost got cut from the UFC before he put on this persona, and then he was suddenly fighting in title fights against Kamaru Usman. Granted, he had to get the results, but he would never have been considered for that because he was winning before he put on the persona, and he was still going to get cut. So
Yes, exactly.
I think that's something fighters should really look into. I mean, if you are capable of pulling it off, why not? It will do wonders for your career, apparently. So it's definitely worth looking into. And then just again, Peter Miller, absolute G. But again, very interested to hear the audience's thoughts on how forthright or forthcoming do you think he was being in terms of his opinion on the hydration test? Because what I will also say is that when I asked the question to him about the hydration test, Nick Atkin almost gave him an out and said, you don't have to have an opinion. You know what I mean? And I would have appreciated if Nick actually let him answer the question by himself. Yeah. This is a story we've been chasing up for a long time, and like we do keep harping on about it because I just felt like Cody Jerome's feelings were so strong about it that there was something that we should have investigated into. But having said that, now having heard from Peter Miller himself, basically the final say is that if you do it correctly, it's not a problem. Once you miss the hydration, then it starts becoming a problem, trying to balance out your electrolytes and all that shit. Yes. So I'm pretty satisfied with that response. Like at the end of the day, I'm satisfied with the response he gave. I'm happy that someone on the inside actually does think that it's, as much as he doesn't agree with it, he still feels like it's not that big a deal if you know how to do it. You know what I mean? If you employ the correct people. So yeah, just thank you to PM the Pissmaster for being so forthcoming on Nick Atkins' podcast. Was really good insight. And 1173, of course, said to be a banger. So very much looking forward to that. We'll probably have something big planned for that as well. But yeah, that's it. Just thank you everybody for tuning in and like and subscribe.
Yeah,
good shit.
No, exactly. I think I'm inclined to agree with everything you just mentioned there with Johan Ghazali. And also, he's actually a good fighter, bro. And people forget he's only, 18 years old. So, what happens if he actually goes on a fucking tear and does become a champion and speaks like that on the microphone? Like, this could be a gold mine for one championship right there in this fighter himself. You know what I mean? They could definitely use that. And in terms of Peter Miller, I think the proof is in the pudding in the sense that the fighters who work with him have performed tenfold better than they ever have in their life before. It's in the performances. You can see it. Look at JD Big and Prajan Chai, complete shutout. Peter Miller was in his camp as well. And it's just beneficial for your health, bro. If fighters who aren't using Peter Miller are shitting. They're having difficult times with having weight cuts. I personally feel like all those Russian fighters should give him a shout because they struggle. They struggle with their weight cuts because they're cutting so much more weight than the Thai fighters.
The juice, bruh.
Let's go. Okay, boys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being involved. Drop a like, comment, share. We will leave the hot question in the comments as well, so you can get involved there if you've missed the live. But what you can expect for the remainder of the week? We have a very small UFC preview that will be released tomorrow. Nothing big on that one because it's not really a massive card. But of course, on Thursday, as usual, One Friday Fights 131 preview. And like AD mentioned at the beginning of the stream, we do have something planned for the 131 live watch along on Friday. Keep a lookout for that. We hope to see all of you there. From myself and the team of Fighting with Friends, you guys must have yourself a fantastic, fantastic week. I'm looking forward to seeing you all on the Friday Fights cards. Cheers, everybody. Much love.